Aloha, brother. Aloha, sister. Welcome to Talk Story, where I, Matthew Salanoa, tell some kind of story. If you're wondering why I'm shirtless, it's because I'm in Southern California and it's frickin' hot. So, welcome to Talk Story, where I talk stories. And I am Hawaiian, you racist pig. I am Hawaiian. Anyway, the subject of today's episode is my first Spartan race. So, this is an original recording that was going to be part of a different podcast, but I have since decided to end that podcast in order to start one. I had a sort of a mixed review podcast where I did movies, shows. It was kind of all over the place. And this was going to be like one of the caps to that podcast. But I decided, you know what? Let's just end that podcast because in the movie review, I start talking about my personal life and it doesn't help the review for the most part. And I'm going to make a whole new podcast just talking about the stories that are bleeding out of me into my reviews. So, welcome to Talk Story. Today's story is about my first Spartan race, and so far, first and only. I am a filmmaker of over 17 years. I am the director of the award-winning 007 I Only Need One. Very proud of that short film. It's up to 20,000 views on YouTube. But I have taken an 8-year break from making films and short films. I've made some fun videos I hope you find fun here on my YouTube channel. But like I said, this podcast is for me to tell a little story about myself, and I hope you like it. And so today I'll be talking about my first Spartan race, how I got into it, how it affected me. It affected me very deeply. I'll leave all of that juicy stuff to my previous recording, and I hope you get something out of this. And if you like it, if you relate to it, please like and subscribe for more. So here we go. Welcome to Talk Story.
Okay.
Aloha, nerds. This is not the typical gut reaction. Actually, I'm not reacting to a movie or a show today. The other day, I had the pleasure of doing my first 5K Spartan race, and it's not something I would normally do. I keep the camera here for a reason, not just because I haven't worked on my background yet, but I've become quite a big boy. Over 300 pounds. I am Matthew Salanoa, filmmaker of over 17 plus years. I've been doing this podcast for technically almost 8 years, but only in the last year and a half have I really committed to producing an episode at least every week. And it's a challenge for me because I'm not comfortable being on this side of the camera. I really love being on the other side. But the way life is, I've had to be there for family and for friends, and I'm not putting it on them. This is my own choice. But, that being the choice that I made, I haven't had as much time to focus on filmmaking. And, I totally, ever since working at a popular retail store, I really appreciate now what some of my fellow students were going through when I was in Academy of Art University. And at least half or more of the students, they were trying to do one or two jobs while at the same time trying to be an artist at school. And that is such a brutal experience. So I really appreciate what they went through now, having been through two jobs as well and trying to keep a family together and all this type of stuff. Not my own family. I'm not married or anything. Just my family members or dear friends who now have become family. But I've learned a lot in the last 10 years about humility and about, what's important in life. And it always comes down to what the movies say: family, your loved ones. You'll never get that time back. And so when push comes to shove and things matter most, you got to do that. But in that time, I've grown very heavy, and I've also realized that I've spent so much of my life being scared and afraid. Afraid to talk to women, afraid to try new things. And I couldn't tell you why I have this fear. I mean, I could tell you some things about my life that could potentially explain it, but there's also plenty of people who've been through either harder things or similar things to me who have every reason to be afraid, just like me, but they joined the military. They did incredible things, family members, friends. So for me, I think fear has just been a part of my core for such a long time. It's hard to get out of there. And so ironically, is my high school friend Jeannie hit me up all of a sudden, and she was always athletic when I knew her in high school, and gorgeous girl, you know. But I haven't seen her in over, yeah, almost 15 years, and wow, it's like I didn't expect her to hit me up in the last few months, and she's now a Spartan. She does these Spartan races. She earned herself a shield, and she's all of a sudden like, "Hey, well, I'm gonna be in your area." She knew I moved to SoCal, so I'm gonna be in your area. Do you want to maybe join me for this Spartan race? And I say, she kind of made it sound like it was easy and that the challenges were easy, and I should just come because it'll be fun, and you really just have to walk. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I was like, okay, I can handle walking for 3 miles, 5 kilometers, 3 miles. Not exactly that dimension, as I found out. But you know what? I showed up. It was this past Sunday. Today is Tuesday. Yesterday, I had a horrible. Well, I wouldn't call it horrible, but because what other racers had done, I know they were suffering far more than I was. But it was a pretty grueling recovery yesterday, so I didn't record. But today I was like, let's get these thoughts out. So I show up. Jeannie meets me at the gate, gets me through the whole process. I'm hanging out with her and her mother, and we're just waiting for the race to start. The two the two volunteers who are kind of manning the area, the resting area where we're at, they see me. They go, "New blood," you know what I mean? They don't call me new blood, but the Jeannie introduces me as new, as a first timer, and they're telling me, "Oh, well, welcome. You're gonna get bitten by the bug, but also tomorrow's gonna suck." You know what I mean? But today, you're gonna have a really good experience. Everyone's friendly. They really prime me up for what I'm gonna go through. These things are grueling, but you don't actually have to do anything, because essentially you sign a death waiver when you go into these 5K, or when you go into these Spartan races, because they really can kill you. And so, because you sign that death waiver, no one can force you to do any obstacle if you don't think you can do it. And as Dave, who really became like my mentor and walked with me the whole way, both Jeannie and Dave walked with me the whole way. Dave told me, like, and he's another fellow big guy, and I really appreciate that. As a big guy, I really appreciated having another big guy right next to me who understood my frame of reference for the world and what these challenges mean to us physically. We're already big, we're already heavy, so it's a feat just to stand up sometimes. But this guy, he was in the Navy. He's had all kinds of experiences in his life. But even the way he was describing it when he joined these Spartan races, it was a level of brutality he had not experienced before, because they truly are challenging you to that level. And but he was guiding me the whole way, and he would just tell me, "We're not going to do this obstacle. We're not going to do this obstacle." And if there's an obstacle that I'm encouraging you to do, if you don't feel like you can do it, just say that you can't do it, and that's fine, because this is your journey, and you'll see everyone else that's here is on their own journey too. And that was really a comforting way to get into it. And so what was crazy though was the first thing that happened was before you even get to the start line, you have to do a crawl under. It's not barbed wire. Apparently, it used to be real barbed wire, but it's just a wire. There's a wire path that's I don't know. I don't know how far it is. It's like 30, 40, 50 feet of. You just have to crawl under it. And actually, that part I did pretty quickly. But then you have to climb a 5 foot wall, and I couldn't. It's like I'm so heavy, I'm so out of shape. Although I've been walking a lot lately, and so just trying to get myself on a healthier path. Struggling, but I've been walking a lot, so I'm not worried about walking. In terms of sheer exercise, I still have a lot of weight to lose before I can, and muscle to gain before I can really push myself like that. So I hit the wall, and I knew I couldn't climb it, and I was so scared. I was like, I know I was holding up people behind me, and then this tall, fit dude comes up and is like, "Hey, just get on my knee." I was like, "What? Really?" He's like, "Yeah, get on my knee." He had no problem, and he let me stand on his knee, and it must have hurt. Come on, I'm over 300 pounds. He may be full of muscle or whatever, but damn, did he just take it like a man? And I got up there, and thankfully there's video. You see me struggling. I'm also kind of scared. I don't think I'm even conscious of the fear. I'm more afraid of his leg pain than the wall by the time I'm getting up on the wall. Then I'm up on the wall. I'm like, okay, just get over it. Just get over it. Because my stomach is so big, I'm like moving over my own fat. And then finally I fall over, but I land fine and bounce up, and I thank him. And there's a few people cheered for me. It was really cool. And then we're at the stop sign, and we're literally, there's a couple guys who are, they're more fit, but they're just happy, and they're just dancing with Dave, and then I'm dancing, and we're all dancing, and we're having a good time. And then they yell, "Start!" It's time to start, and people just start running. Oh, but before they yell start is the whole, "How? What is your profession? How? How? What is your profession? And I sound like a dog. I don't even sound right. But anyway, we start, and I just walk because they say, "Hey, other people can run, but you can walk. This is a 5K race. It's fine for beginners." And so we just walked, and the warning, though, the whole warning up to this race was that it was going to rain. So at first when we walked, it was just kind of cold. It was a little nippy, but sure enough, about 30 minutes into this walk, I'm barely making it around the bend because this is at Lake Paris, which is a beautiful little beach. I've never actually been there, but it's pretty close to me anyway. That's why it was so convenient. It was like, "Oh, Matt, we're going to be here. So if you're right next to there, why don't you just join us?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so this is a beach that I've driven by many times, but never actually been to. Because I'm so new to this area, I haven't actually poked my head out enough and didn't even realize that, this was that close to me. I thought this was in a different section of the area. I don't know where I am. So I'm both learning a new area, doing a new race I've never done before. And then once we start getting onto the beach, and there's dips and valleys, peaks and valleys, and obstacles, that's when the rain starts to hit. And it's about an hour, and the rain starts to hit harder and harder, and it becomes a gloomy, dark thing. And I can't help but hear 300 in my head. "Yes, there will be rain," Gerard Butler, and you seeing the 300 on the cliffs, watching the Persian army's boats crash against the lightning and crash into each other, and people falling over. Yeah, yeah, and it was an experience. But then we skipped some obstacles. There's a couple more walls that I can't do, and there's nobody there that I felt strong enough. I wasn't gonna stand on Jeannie's knee, as strong as she may be. I'm like, but I might still break you. Even Dave tries to help me with one. I'm like, "You know what? No, because he had just done the 10K. He had done 2 races the day before. He may be a big guy as well, but he's been pushing himself, and I could just tell, like, dude, you don't need the extra pain, and I know I can't do this." So, and that was my first out was these walls, and Then we passed some obstacles where they were like, no, you don't got to do this. It was insane climbing that only if you're athletic and are really comfortable with yourself can you do. Not to say a big person can't do it. It's just that you got to be really know yourself and know what you can do. But also, I think that was kind of the beauty of it, because there was some things that they were like, oh, you can do this. I'll show you how to do this. And one of those being was, what did I do? I'm trying to remember now. That's the crazy thing. They warned me that once you do it, you're kind of an amnesia about doing it. It's going to be a brutal, kind of traumatizing experience, but you'll have like a traumatic amnesia afterward, where you're not really going to remember that you did it, which is kind of true, because when I was looking back at the videos, it's like, I crawled under the barbed wire? I mean, I know I did it. I remember feeling the barbs prickling at my ass, because, you know, I'm a big guy. So I remember it happened, but I don't really remember doing it. You know, and what was the other one? And I don't remember what the first thing I did is. All I know is that there was, at a certain point, I was carrying around a 60-pound bucket on my shoulder.
All right, this is Big Matt, grabbing the black one, getting it done.
And it was a really long walk that I had to walk around a whole mess of trees, which, again, they made it sound like it was short. And by when I got to the end, they told me, oh, this was actually shorter yesterday. They lengthened that. And I was like, oh, thank you. Ow. I had to stop 3 times.
How do you feel right now?
Like I'm a puke and die.
Jeannie got it on video where she asked me, how you doing? I was like, I felt like I was going to puke and die. I really felt that way. I was like, I'm going to puke and then I'm going to die. And that will be the story of me. He went to his first 5K race, this fat fuck, and he fell and he puked and he died.
Like I'm a puke and die.
Damn. There's the story of the shortest lived story of any Spartan. Barely made it through the opening gates of the Agoge. But anyway, I made it. You know, luckily they said, hey, well, that was one of Dave's great pieces of advice, was the bucket also makes a great seat when you need a break. And so as soon as I tried, I was like, I'll try to huff and puff to the end. But as much as my walking before these days helped, nothing can prepare you for just how heavy and awful it feels when you got the rain on you. Even though it kind of stopped raining mid-walk, you're still drenched, you're still soaked, you're still heavier than you already were. And this thing is making you feel worse. But to drop that thing and sit down for a couple seconds really helped. And that was also Dave's advice. When we reached the first mile mark and we sat down, I was already feeling kind of winded just from the walk that was up and down. It was a little bit hilly. It wasn't even that bad, but walking through the rain and all this kind of misery, and he was just like, no, let's just take a break, you know, and we'll take a break. But the thing is, don't sit too long, because that's when your body locks up, which is something I'm already experiencing when I drive for too long. I get body lockup, and it's horrible. It's actually something my dad has, and he's not huge like me. But now for me, it's like my whole body. I think for him, it's mostly just his jaw, maybe his leg. But for me, my whole body locks up if I sit in the car too long, and it's so hard to get out. But for here we were, and he's giving me this advice. I'm like, okay, this one I know this one. So as soon as he said, okay, I think I'm ready, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go too. And we just keep plowing through. But yeah, that bucket was brutal. And then what was cool was we did skip half of the barbed wire was underwater. So they're like, no, we're not gonna make you go through that, but we'll go through this barbed wire where I'll show you how to go through. And he just rolls and he shows me how to roll. And so I roll through and I'm like, holy shit, I'm rolling under barbed wire. This is kind of cool. This is actually the coolest thing I've done today, and maybe the coolest thing I've done in years. You know, the fact that I'm this big and I'm rolling under barbed wire.
Take it nice and slow.
But by the time I reach the end, the barbed wire is so low, because it gradually gets lower. By the time I reach the end, the barbed wire is so low, I just kind of have to squeal, piggy, pull myself through.
Put that butt down. Pull yourself out with your arms. There you go. Keep coming. There you go. You're out. Take a break. You're good. Nice. Nice.
But Dave was championing me the whole way. Jeannie was championing me the whole way.
Good job.
Yay!
Good job. Nicely done. Hell yeah.
And she'd already done this race the day before. She had done 2 races the day before and then a 10K before I showed up. Because I showed up in the, almost by noon. So she'd already done 3 races, the trifecta. And then this last one was just for her, a baby race that she was interested. Her mom also did this race, but her mom blew past us at the start line. So her mom was wonderful. They're all wonderful, but she just blew past us at the start line, and we didn't see her again until we crossed the finish line. But it was really cool. Also, I did the spear.
You got it, man.
Which I did not succeed at, but I really wanted to. I tried at least 6 times.
Oh.
Which Jeannie said it was cool. She said actually most people stopped at the second time. But I just really wanted to get it because I knew two times I felt that I could have made it. But the way I was holding it, I know I just wasn't holding it right, and the rope kind of caught on my thumb as it passed out of my hand. I was, damn it, because I could see its trajectory except for how it snagged on my finger. I was like, no. And there was actually one more challenge I think I would have done, but they said skip because it was another carry challenge. And I think the way they described it, it was like, yeah, you're not going to enjoy that anyway. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Because by the time we were there, we had passed the 3-mile mark. And I was already beat. At the 2-mile mark, before the spear, I felt kind of like a little champion. And there was a little break in the rain. And you could see the final obstacle, which is this A-frame truss that people climb up and climb down. And at that point, I felt I had just done the barbed wire, and the rain stopped for a little minute, and I thought I was very confident. I thought I could do that thing now. But by the time we got there, it's just started raining right away. You know what I mean? After the barbed wire. And so it rained really hard for that last mile and a half. It felt like a mile and a half. They said, it's only 3 miles, but it might be 3.1. I was like, I think it was 3.4. In that last mile and a half, it was raining really hard. And we were going up hills, down hills. It was all kinds of mess. And I was just so beat that when we were skipping obstacles intentionally, because they knew, like, you can't climb that thing. We know it. You can't climb that rope. We know it. Neither can I. We're not doing it. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe he could. I don't know. They were definitely looking out for me. And then when we reached the A-frame, though, it was like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And so I get about 4 steps up, and my body locks. And it's just like, dude. And, they said before, your mind usually stops before your body can. But I think, this may sound like BS, but for me, I've always felt pretty in tune with my body. So I think I listen to my body. I know what it needs. I know I need a banana. I need to eat veggies. I need to do this. I need to do this. I listen to my body. My body's, I feel, very communicative with me, with its needs. Not that I'm always the best listener, but I do feel it. I feel it. And so I knew in that moment, when I was on that 4th hand up, my hands hurt so bad. And my arms just wouldn't. And I also have a little fear of heights. I have a little fear of heights, so that probably also was a bit psychological. But it wasn't even just that. It was just my body. It was just like, dude, no. I can't. I cannot do it. And I just felt like my body just wasn't ready for this yet. And I really felt bad. I felt like I let them down because they were like, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to get your picture at the top of that thing. And I was just like, dude, I can't even get a 5th step, man. My body does not want to move anymore. It just doesn't. I don't think any rest could have helped you know what I mean? maybe that's a starting day thing, but I couldn't do it at the end, that's for sure. Um, it's not like I haven't climbed things as a kid, you know. I mean, I think I was the least afraid of that thing when I started, but by the time I got there, it was a different kind of fear. It was like my body feels so racked with pain right now. I just don't think I can physically even move anymore to do anything, let alone walk. And so I told Dave, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't think I can do it, man. I can't. I just can't. And then he called, okay. And he let a volunteer know, someone's got to walk. And then the greatest thing, though, I have to say, in my head and in my heart, I was expecting so much more negativity. You know, I was really going into this thinking there's going to be a lot of people here who are better than me, and they're going to look down on me for being fat. They're going to look down on me for being this way or that way. And no one was, you know. And there were some fit, beautiful women walk right by. They knew Dave and Jeannie. Hey, this is Matt's first time. They look at me. Hey, you're gonna. They all say the same thing. You're gonna get bit by the bug. You know what I mean? But they were just so positive. Like, no one looked down on anyone. You know what I mean? And if you refuse something, no one looked down on you. They just cheered you on. Hey, well, it's cool. Just keep moving. You really realize that the entire spirit of this group, the entire philosophy of this group, is just to keep going on your own journey and to get there when you can get there. And there's no judgment about whether you can do it or not. It's just that you are doing it, you know? And there was a few times where I said, I can't do that. And then Dave corrected me, you can't do it yet, but someday you will, you know? And I thought, whoa, I've heard that before in the memes, in the doom scroll. And here is the first time I'm hearing it in person. And again, it's positive. It's not putting me down. And, you know, when I walked to that volunteer, I felt like such an asshole. You know, I was like, I'm an asshole. These guys are climbing this thing and I'm not. And I really do believe I can't. And she was just, hey, it's all good. You know what I mean? You did it. You reached the finish line. That's all that matters. I was like, really? Are you sure? Are you sure that's all that matters? You know? And, but, you know, watching Dave come down the other side of the truss, and you could see he hurt himself a little bit coming down because it was all wet. And they had warned me, like, we don't really like this either because when it's wet, it's not strong. It doesn't have that firmness it's supposed to have to make you feel good when you're climbing up it, which is what was happening. I would put my foot down and just these little rope things on the side would just go all the way down. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm lifting at all. I think I'm going to break this damn thing. You know, or I'm going to fall through it and slice my leg off in some horrific way. But it was very inspiring. I mean, Jeannie just flew over because, you know, she's so fit and ready. Wow, Jeannie's something. A little bit of a miracle, I'd say. The real life Wonder Woman. Latina Wonder Woman. But it was inspiring watching Dave do it because here's a fellow big guy and he's already done a race today. He's already miserable, and he just comes over that thing. I was like, wow, you know, as much as he looked like he was in pain, I was like, that's a fucking champion right there. He did the thing, and he is in way more pain than I am. I know he's in more pain than I am. And even though he's in more pain than I am, and he knows he's in more pain than I am, no judgment toward me. Just like, okay, you did what you could do and you reached the finish line. That's what we said. And it was still true at the end. And everybody was cheering and just glad that I made it. And I was like, what is this? You know, this is not the real world that I grew up with. And I couldn't help but have this not exactly melancholy feeling, but when I sat down at the end and we came back to our sitting area where our stuff was, and the lady from the beginning was there, like, yeah, you did it, you did it. And I was like, wow. I mean, there was a lot of obstacles I didn't do, but wow, I guess I did. And I got this medal and this shirt, and I'm like, but I still felt like, did I earn this medal? Because I didn't do the last obstacle, which I was kind of excited to do, even though I'm afraid of heights. But when I got to it, my body said, no, I don't know, I don't know. It was just that, but they still compliment me, hey, you did it. You did it. Everyone has their first one, and this is your first one, and now you're going to want to come back and do it again. And there was some doubt at the time, but actually I think I do want to do it again. But I do think I want to do it again after I lose some more weight. I want to lose some weight and, just get myself in a better physical shape and then do it again. Because I want to be able to make that wall by myself if I can. Or at the very least, make that wall and not feel horrible for whoever has to help me with the knee. That's my goal for next time, is to beat the wall and to beat the truss. If I could beat the A truss and beat that first wall, that'd be my goal for next time. Whenever I do it. I don't think I'm going to do it anytime soon, but I do want to do it again. They were right. I don't think I'm going to do it anywhere to the degree they are doing it, but I do want to try it again sometime. I think it'll be a good time. But yeah, I need to work on myself a bit. And also, I've got my own things to do. That's really the real reason why I can't focus on it. I'm trying to do this podcasting thing. I want to make movies. I have dreams of my own. But like I said, when I sat down, I had this melancholy, not really melancholy, but I had this reflective moment where I realized I have been followed by many, many years of fear and rejection and demons tormenting me, telling me that I am a horrible piece of shit who deserves to die, and I'm not worth anyone's time, and I'm not worth anything. And it's been many, many things that have added up in my mind, because I believe in science, and I believe in math, and I believe, the evidence of whatever you're looking for is always in front of you. And so for me, like I said, I was afraid of talking to girls, but also the times I had experiences with women, I was this incredible disappointment. They made sure I knew what a disappointment I was. And when it came to friendships, I was there, and I was really committed to quite a few friends. It's more, even though I do have a lot of stuff from childhood that was pretty bad, I've kind of overcome that. But it's more just some recent stuff in the last 10 years where I used to have a group of friends, and I was there for all of them whenever they needed me. Not that I was always there and always perfect, but I always did my best to do it when I could. And there was a time where I really felt abandoned when I was in need. Oop, something fell. There was a time I really felt abandoned when I was in great need. And that has echoed through me ever since, where all of a sudden I just strung it all together. Where not only all these girls, I was just this huge disappointment. And times where I had friends who were kind of trying to be my wingman and trying to hook me up. And I would try to do things they would do, but again, I'm a bigger guy, and I would just see the looks on girls' faces of, you, really? Like, you disgusting fat pig, you think I would date you? Really? Go fuck yourself, you know what I mean? I've seen that look plenty of times. Even though it's not more than a handful, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough for me, to always be standing next to a guy who's more attractive and more confident than me, and to watch girls just laugh at all of their jokes, and then anything that come out of my mouth just, you, really, you ugly piece of shit, shut the fuck up. To have times where girls had already ghosted me, but then suddenly they need me for something, and, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, I didn't mean not to talk to you, I was just busy. Hey, I need help. And then when I go help them, they don't talk to me at all, and then they ghost me again. I've had just so many times, where I was trying to be helpful and kind to people, and they were just using me. And the demons of these experiences followed me for these last 10 years, pounding me into the shape that I'm in. And I really was just, even though I'm kind of in this this interesting situation where I'm only in SoCal because a friend of mine needed me. And when I came down here, I was employed and I was confident. And she would be like, "Oh, I'm holding you back from..." I'm like, "You're not holding me back from anything. I'm a man. I have a job and a car. I can do anything." And then a year into this, where I'm trying to help her, I became unemployed. And so, but fortunately, she's been able to support me in this time. And even though that by itself is beautiful and touching and lifts me up to a certain degree, still the demons of the past keep telling me every day that, well, only because of this can you survive, because you're really not worth it. You're really not worth anything. Because that was the attitude of some of my friends before we stopped being friends, is that they just had such a superior attitude about themselves. And because I always helped them, and they would never say yes to helping me or coming to see me, they just had the superior attitude about themselves. And I was just the guy who can't get things and can't understand. And yet, if I'm that guy, why am I helping you? Why do you need help from me? But I could never get past that, because that feeling that despite the fact that this person needs my help, they think I'm the lower being. Still, that feeling sat with me. And so it really wasn't until sitting down after the Spartan race and just having this, even though technically it was only 3 or 4 people, still, even the people around them never gave me shit. You know what I mean? Just the people, the volunteers at every checkpoint. "Yeah, it's cool. Hey, keep going." To be surrounded by so much positivity, to be surrounded by so much support and love, it really was a powerful experience. I mean, I've had situations, even back in college, teachers I thought I got along with, and I'm in a social setting and nobody's talking to me at all because they got a pretty girl in front of them, or they got someone with more power, or someone famous in front of them. I'm walking, they don't even see me. I've just gotten so used to being the elephant in the room who's also completely invisible. This crushing feeling of not being a valid thing. So many years of that. For one day, for 4 hours, I felt like a champ. I did something grueling that I had never done before, and even though there were things I couldn't do and things I couldn't do by myself, they were like supportive the whole time, and it was just beautiful. And I'm really grateful for that experience, because it shifted something inside of myself. And I don't quite know what it is that it moved, but it moved a part of me. And I'm just very grateful for that. I'm just grateful to Jeannie, to Dave, Maria, Jeannie's mom. Grateful to everyone at the Spartan Race, the lady who greeted me, even the guy what is it? Even the guy who gave me my little ticket thing, you know what I mean? Who was like, "Oh, it's your first race?" Gave me a little fist bump. "Hey, you're gonna have fun, man." It's just like, what? You know what I mean? Just a kind of positivity that I just have sorely needed for the last 10 years. Even though, I do have a loving family, and like I said, I've been through stuff, so my family's been through some horrible stuff. But like I said, a lot of that I've gotten over. But even though having a loving family and all that, it doesn't erase the demons that society put on me, that people I thought I loved as my second family put on me. It didn't erase any of that. it still followed me. And I just really appreciate having one amazing day that just taught me that, hey, you know, the whole world ain't like that, bro. You know what I mean? There's people who aren't gonna look at you and say, what a fat ugly fuck, what are you doing here? They're gonna say, hey, what's up, keep going, glad you're here. You know what I mean? I thought that was amazing. No judgment, just support and, you know, encouragement, and keep going. And I just had this enormous feeling of like, you know what, society needs this. Because one of the things I get tired of, again, talking about social media, when people get up in political issues, no matter what side they're on, people always talk in these absolutes. They always say, you know, this is, everything about this is absolutely wrong, everything about this is absolutely wrong. And no matter what side they're on, I always feel like, well, that's bullshit. I mean, if you really examine what you said, you're totally cutting out the part where you're wrong. This is not absolutely true all the time. And no matter who I disagree with, the answer is either to tell me what a stupid loser piece of shit I am, or to just ignore me. And both hurt. Both absolutely hurt. And I realize to me, I realize now, this is the tactic of the weak. You know, this is the tactic of weak people. And I've always felt that way anyway. I've always truly felt like if you're in the political sphere, if you're on social media whining, if you actually cared about the issues you talked about, you would stop doing your job and you would go become a lawyer, go become a police officer, go become a politician, and you would actually fight the fight for the thing you care about. But you don't really care. You just want to look like someone who cares, because after you've signed your little petition, you're going to go back to your life with all your insecurities and all your problems, and you're not actually going to do anything about the thing you say you care about. That's always what I feel in my heart, and I still feel that way. And even more I feel that way now after doing the Spartan Race, because I realize, man, that's also me looking at myself. I say I care about my health, but I don't. I keep eating junk food. And even after the Spartan Race, yesterday and today, I've had some junk food, and it's like, oh no, what are you doing, man? You know, it's still hard to get rid of that part of me, like a habit that you've just been committed to for too long. But even though I'm sitting here thinking, Jesus, I'm doing it again, I'm also sitting here realizing, wait a minute. I've also done something I've never done before. So if I've done something I've never done before, I can break this habit. Because I only didn't do things like that before because I never thought I could. And so because I never thought I could, I never bothered to try whether I would or should, you know? And so I don't know if this feeling is hope or if this feeling is counter evidence to everything I've felt before. But when I sat down after the Spartan Race, I felt I'm different now. I am not exactly the same Matt that walked into this race. And I hope that I can carry not only the aloha spirit of my people, which is, you know, be kind to everyone, be loving to everyone, be there for your family. Not only carry that spirit, but carry a new kind of spirit. Like, I'm not just a jolly Hawaiian. I'm a Spartan now. I have a medal to prove it. I can do anything. And there's no, you can't do it. It's just you can't do it yet. Or you haven't done it yet. And although those are words I've said to myself before, this is the first time in years where I'm like, I did something. I fucking did something. I felt that way when I made I Only Need One. I'd made many short films, so I don't know why I call that my directorial debut. I thought that was just kind of a cute marketing thing. But it was my first short film where I actually had a big crew, even though that crew was my friends and family. It was the biggest crew I'd worked with yet. And that movie executed and won awards, and I got to be in a crowd of people that cheered. And that was an experience where I thought I was going to die too. So it's been 8 years since that. And that was like a dream goal. So because I'd achieved something, I felt a little more secure in my dream. I felt a little more secure to, be there for my family. Hey, I've accomplished a little bit of my dream. Now, if something happens that matters to me, I really got to realize that still matters first. But now I've accomplished like a personal, I wouldn't even say it was a goal. I've accomplished something I just didn't think I could accomplish. A 5K race? I never even thought I could do that, I thought I could walk that. I've walked San Francisco backward and forward, but not with obstacles where I have to carry heavy things for, I don't know. I still don't know how long I carried that thing. It was a long walk, man. Or throw a spear or crawl under barbed wire. I never thought I'd crawl under barbed wire for any reason. That's still my favorite. That's still my proudest one, is the barbed wire, because I think, I've always never been interested in joining any war, but I've also thought, man, the barbed wire is definitely something I can't do. I'm too big of a guy. I've beat the barbed wire. You know what I mean? So if I did it once, I can do it again. And if there's something else that I think I can't do, I can do it. I just haven't done it yet. And that's a beautiful new thing just to have personally for my soul. So, anyway, it was an amazing experience. I'm really glad I had it. Thank you very much, Jeannie, Dave, Maria. Thank you to all the Spartan crew. I really appreciate you. And I hope I carry this new confidence into a better life. Hopefully an employed one where I'm also following my dreams again, because I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but hopefully life seems to be going in a direction where I can do that. And I'm just hoping that I can, and we'll see what happens. But I'm grateful to everyone. I'm grateful to my friend who, helped me back. That was that first big inkling that I could be loved in return, is that I went out of my way to help someone and they helped me back. I'd say tenfold, really. But you know what I mean? But then this experience, surrounded by love and encouragement, is just something I can't be grateful for enough. And I do think everyone should have that experience. I think if you think you can't do this, you can. You should absolutely give it a shot. Remember, you don't gotta do anything you don't want to do. 5K is a perfect start. And if you are out there and you need a new experience to shake you out of your life, the Spartan Race is a great thing to try. And if you get some negative people, you gotta shake it off, because most of the people there are so positive and good. It's just, you need it. And I think society could use this attitude. Like I said, social media, everyone's saying these kind of half-truths as absolute truths. If people just stop trying to be the smartest, most righteous person on earth, and if they could just calm their asses down and actually talk to each other and communicate, we could actually hold ourselves up as a society and take care of each other. We've got to stop having this automatically negative attitude about everything and judging everyone and putting everyone down for the littlest differences, because it just doesn't end. I think too many people are trying to either be the biggest victim or the biggest hero, and they're only really achieving it on social media. They're not actually trying in the real world with their own bodies, with their own voices, with their own hard work. They're not really trying to achieve it in the real world. And I hope that you just do a fucking Spartan race And who you are when you come out the other side of that race is who you are. And you'll realize you don't need all this other shit. You know, all this other shit is just shit. You know, it's just, you are the person that goes through that experience. When you face that level of positivity, and it has nothing to do with your work or your dreams or whether you can draw well, it has everything to do with you did that walk and you got to the end. And not only that, other people in different physical shapes than you also did it. That's a powerful, amazing experience to go through. So once more, thank you. Thank you everyone who got me through it. Thank you, Jeannie, for getting me there. Thank you, Dave, for just being the best mentor, trooper, wingman, whatever it is that you would call that. Thank you for everything. And I will see you again, but I want to lose some weight first and hopefully get some control over myself. Or I will. I just haven't done it yet. So that's my word on the Spartan Race. You should absolutely do it if you have the opportunity. Thank you for watching. This has been the Salawog's Gut Reaction. Aloha and good night.